What's up, heroes? Good morning. Good morning. I'm so excited because this is absolutely one of my most favorite weeks. This week, we're going to talk about a technique that has truly transformed my life. It's more than doubled my productivity. And the way I came across this was, I felt that I was a fairly productive person. I would start every day with a general idea of what I wanted to get done, and some days I would get everything on my list done. I had my to-do list. Some days I would get everything on my list done. Some days I wouldn't. I really didn't have a clear plan in place. It was like I had a list of stuff I wanted to do, and I would start the day, and hopefully by the end of the day I got it all done. I still felt overwhelmed. I've always felt like I was just playing catch up. I never really felt like truly in control of the day. Most of the time it felt like the day was kind of just dragging me around. And so I was on this path of trying to increase my performance and my productivity. And I ran upon this research done by the University of Scranton, where they took two groups of people, and they had one group and they were using a to-do list. They said, okay, here's a list of everything you should get done that day. And set out and try to get all this stuff done. And what they found was that the people that used a to-do list, on average, only got about 40% of the stuff done on their list. Less than half of the time, they were able to actually complete the list. And they took that same group of people and said, now, okay, instead of using just a random to-do list, we want you to take that list and put a time next to everything you're going to do. So instead of I'm going to call my mom today, say I'm going to call my mom at 9 a.m. Essentially, they asked them to schedule all of their tasks on their calendar instead of just having a list. And what they found was they went from 40% to 90%. Their productivity almost doubled, more than doubled, just from this simple act of scheduling their items on their calendar instead of just having it on a to-do list. And when they scheduled it all on a calendar, they found that there would be zero blank space. And they call this the zero-based calendaring method. And so today I'm going to show you this zero-based calendaring method. It truly has, it's one, besides waking up early, it is one of the cornerstone productivity techniques that I've ever started doing. And so I'm excited to show you that today. So I'm gonna do a quick little demonstration of how this technique works. But first I'm gonna put some context. So this week we're going into the Zero Calendar Challenge. Now, I was doing some more research, and I ran across this Inc. magazine article that said that according to Inc. magazine, the average person wastes over 4 hours of their workday on low value or no value activities. And they defined low value and no value activities as things that really don't push the needle forward for you, for your business, for your goals. Your high value activities are the things that they truly are your superpower. It's a thing that generates the biggest results for you. Anything else they consider low value or no value. And what they found was that the majority of people's workday is spent on low value activities. And there's some scientific reason why this happens. If you look back into our prehistoric days when we were cave people, we only had one main responsibility, and that was survival. And survival was based on three things. Either we were chasing food, chasing a mate, or we were trying not to be chased. And so each of these three things require a huge burst of energy. So in order for us to adapt and evolve, our brains got programmed for energy conservation. That way, whenever we needed to run from a tiger or chase some food, we had enough energy stored up for us to do these huge bursts of energy. And so then, that allowed us, this energy conservation mechanism allowed us to be able to ascend to become the dominant species. But the problem is our lifestyles are completely different. We're not chasing food and running from tigers anymore, but our brains are still programmed for energy conservation. And so if you look at how people typically plan their day, you'll notice that on their calendars, they have their big commitments, maybe client appointments or, conference calls or meetings with their team or their boss. These are big commitments that they won't miss. And then if you look at the rest of their day, it's filled with blank space. Now, they say blank space is the death of productivity because in that blank space, you're leaving it up to your brain to try to figure out what it should be doing in that time to be the most productive. But I just shared with you that our brains are still programmed for energy conservation. So if you give your brain the opportunity to decide what to do, it's going to always choose to do low energy tasks. Those are the low value or no value activities. Those are things like, monitoring and constantly checking email, reading news and websites and newsletters, articles, things like that, surfing social media, doing tasks like errands, online shopping, socializing with coworkers or friends and text messaging, even playing games. If you don't give your brain clear instructions of what it should be doing at any given moment, it will always revert and default back to low energy tasks. And this is why most people, they aren't very productive. They don't get as much done as they want to do all day because they're not even aware that they're getting sucked into these mindless activities, all because they just have no intention set for that time slot. So what they recommend, instead of having blank space, you want to fill all that blank space up with something. Give it a plan. Plan out your day so that every moment, every minute of the day, you know exactly what you should be doing. And that will help prevent you from getting sucked into some of these mindless, low energy or no value activities. And so this is, we'll take that same example and we're going to redo it. So on the right, you have your calendar, and here's your two big commitments for the day. But then on the left, you got your to-do list of all the things that you want to get done. And this is the list that you'll carry around with you all day that, at some point in the day, you want to get all this stuff done. And so instead of just saying, I hope I get all this stuff done, we're going to actually create a plan. And you're going to plan out when you're going to do each one of these items. And so essentially, you start filling up all of the blank spots on your calendar with intention, with purpose, and with a plan. And so by the time you get done filling up all the things on your calendar, you'll see that there's no blank space. There's zero blank space. And that's where the name comes from, the zero-based calendaring method. And when you have this plan, now all you have to do all day long is just execute the plan. All you have to do is look at your calendar and see, what should I be doing right now? Look at your calendar and boom, you know exactly what you should be doing and you just execute. This relieves so much stress and pressure of trying to figure out what you should be doing. You determine at the beginning of the day the exact plan for your whole day, and then you never have to think about it again. You just look at your calendar and you execute. Here's one of the other great benefits of this is that you'll notice there are a few things that didn't actually make it on my calendar. The best thing about using your calendar as your to-do list is that it shows you what you have time for. It shows you what you can commit to. And oftentimes we carry around these huge to-do lists, 50 items, 20 items on our to-do list, and there's no way we can get all of that done in a single day. But yet we carry around this list, and that's just a burden. It's just anxiety. It's just heaviness weighing us down of all this stuff we got to try to get done when it's not realistic that we can get all that stuff done. So when you use your calendar, you have a realistic view of what you can actually get done that day. And now the things that don't fit on that list, you have permission to release yourself from doing those things. Maybe you'll schedule those things for a future day. Maybe you'll schedule it for the next day. Or maybe you'll just say, those things are just not as important for me right now. I'll either delegate it or I'll delete it off my list altogether. But now it relieves you from the pressure of having such a heavy to-do list, and you only commit to doing things that you realistically have time for. I call this stress-free productivity. It's one of the most enlightening things when you lighten your load. Stop overcommitting to things, lighten your load, and you can run so much faster throughout your day. And so again, this is one of the most powerful practices. We're going away from using a to-do list and essentially your calendar becomes your to-do list. This is the Zero Calendar. This is by far one of the greatest productivity tools that ever been invented in history. There are a couple of ways you can do it. For our purposes, we're going to be using the paper method. So you have a Zero Calendar. When you signed up for the Morning Hero program, you got a Zero Calendar, or you will be getting one shortly. And your task is going to be to use this to plan out your entire day. And when you do, on average, people see they more than double their focus and double their productivity when they use this every day. They start their day. And what I do is I wake up and I go for my meditation walk. And the first thing in the morning when I come back, I sit down with a cup of coffee and I spend about 15 minutes with my Zero Calendar planning out my entire day. It takes me about 15 minutes to do this. And by the time I'm finished, I have a really, really concrete plan of how my entire day is going to go. So this is what your Morning Hero Zero Calendar looks like. And you'll notice that there's a section for your Zero Calendar. And that's what you're going to use every morning to plan out your entire day. So this week, the Zero Calendar Challenge. So if you choose to accept it every morning, quite simply, you're going to plan out your day using the Zero Calendar. And again, the Zero Calendar means every minute of your day, get really detailed of what you want to get done and when you're going to go get it done. Not just work-related items, but personal-related items as well. Your workout, your lunches, your meals, dinner with the family. Schedule it all out, and you'll be surprised at how much more effective and efficient you are when you get really detailed with your calendar. And so I'm excited for this week and to see how fast you run when you start using your calendar as your to-do list. See you guys.